Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the award-winning recovery podcast. Get in the herd today, my goodness! Oh my God, it's gonna be. This has been like hilarious week. It has been hilarious week. So we got. So okay. Well, anyway, welcome to the recovery podcast. Blah blah blah. I'm Nathan Mitchell. I am your host today, and let me tell you, today is December. No, November 4th.
It's already November.
That's all. Yeah, I know, right? I just said December, so I was clearly thinking about honesty and the movie Elf and all that stuff. But look. We have a very, very special guest today. And we also have Alex.
And me.
No, man, today we have brought back the legend, the man, the myth, the legend,
Gosh.
Alex Bond, former co-host of the Recovery Podcast, the award-winning Recovery Podcast. I can't talk, man. He's got me tongue-tied.
It's all right.
This is what happens.
That's what happens when you win awards.
This is what happens when you yes, we. Ooh, I was going to say something. I'm not going to say it. Not going to say it, Justin.
Probably best.
Probably best. So over in that corner, in this corner over here, we've got Justice Bognar as our medical producer, media producer,
Media man.
And, so listen, let's just. I mean, like we're getting into the hilarity. I love it. But let's go, man. What's going on with you? Welcome to the show, Mr. Bond.
What's up, Nathan?
Dude,
It's good to see you, man.
dude.
This room is so much nicer than when I left it.
Well, Justice likes to clean.
It shows.
I'm just calling. By
That's
the way,
what happens when we're clean.
That's right. That's right.
Come
Dude,
on.
I was excited to see you so much that I actually like cleaned my office.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Can we do a Jeopardy session afterward?
dude. Wait, I don't play the 12 anymore. I mean, we can do a six question game. So when Alex was here as a participant as a staff member on the third floor, because the third floor was pretty hip back then. Now, we got Walt, we got Christina, we got Justice, we got Matt Grant.
So much sage wisdom.
It's a freaking amazing floor, actually. But when
It's like a
Justice,
guru central.
it is a guru. When Alex was here on the show, I mean, on the third floor in the building, like the third floor was it, man. Like we had fun. So what's going on with you, man? I understand your new life at Corn Hub is doing well. So,
Corn Cob TV.
Corn Cob TV. Talk to us, man.
No, it's great. So when I left McShin at the time I was living in housing and a staff member, I interviewed for this job to be an associate producer of two, which I ended up getting. Spoiler alert. As an associate producer for two agriculture reality documentary competition series that follows farmers across the nation competing against each other to grow corn and soybeans, respectively. So, Corn Warriors is our corn show, where we follow 6 farmers in Indiana and Illinois, Ohio, Alabama, and Michigan, essentially following them throughout the season as they grow corn.
Yeah, you would have just had the harvest recently, so
we are in harvest
you're in
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now we'll be airing episode 9. I want to say we'll be airing episode 9 out of 16 while we're filming episode 15 and 16.
Okay.
So the last 2 months has been crazy hectic. Our editing suite, tremendous people have all been working their tail off to edit the episodes, put them out. And while our production team has been on the road filming the episodes, and it's awesome. So I'm kind of part of all of that as an associate producer. I help with pre-production, production, and post-production, and a lot of our social media. And I don't know, being on and a part of this podcast was a foundational part of why and how I got the job that I got, and think I'm successful at it.
Ooh. Wait. Are you saying that being a part of this podcast, this award-winning
podcast
helped you launch into a career?
Yeah, and
Whoa.
not just a career, an award-winning career.
Oh yeah.
Because we recently just got word that we won 10 out of 10 Knicks awards for our television show, Corn Warriors.
Dude, that's pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, we won 2 grand prizes, I think 4 gold prizes, and 3 or 4 silver prizes. I mean, all across series and campaigns, broadcast and TV. Since we're it's all over the place.
Wow.
We got episodes on YouTube, Facebook, all that jazz. And we won like 2 grand prizes, which was just amazing to be a part of.
Look at him. He looks like a producer.
He does.
He does, right? The only thing missing is a little mouthpiece thing coming from the
One of
headphones.
those like Britney Spears head mics.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And a
And a clipboard. Yeah.
Which you got the legal pack
Yeah.
with notes on it.
Well, this is I remember getting this when I was back in like March, and now it's got 2 empty pages in it. I just like
wow.
I love it.
So when did you leave here?
Late February.
Late
About
February.
February 27th, I think, was like my last day here, something like that.
Wow. So we went February 27th, and our first week together was the first week of May. I know this because I was looking at past episodes. So, I mean, we did other shows, but it kind of
Wait. So it's been damn near 6 months.
Yeah.
May, June, July, August, September, October.
It's crazy to
it's
think,
over
right?
6 months.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was like on the way out, you were like onboarding and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
and you know, kudos to you guys. The show has been even more successful. I love the regulation of it. I mean, it seems so much stringent. You know what I'm saying? I mean, usually we started 5 minutes late, and he was like, and Nathan said, get here on time, do a sound check, and I like the graphics that I see every week of who's going to be on what show. I mean, it just seems really regulatory, which, you know, people appreciate consistency a lot of times.
Yeah. And
Like it would suck if people turned on our you know, channel RFD today and our show just wasn't on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you need regulatory processes a lot of times.
what channel are you guys on?
We're on RFD TV.
RFD.
So it streams to about half of America on you know, just basic cable, and then we are also on our website, cornwarriorstv.com.
Okay.
Our new episodes will premiere on Facebook and YouTube at 9 p.m. tonight.
So I have a smart TV with absolutely no access to anything that's
Sling.
brought. Sling? Okay.
Yeah,
and
it's
that'll
on
get me?
Sling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corn Warriors.
Yeah. So
But you said YouTube too, right?
yeah, so it'll be live at
okay.
5 o'clock on RFD TV, which is on Sling, and then it'll be on Facebook and YouTube at 9 p.m. tonight.
Okay.
Streaming. And it'll be on our website somewhere in between 5 and 9.
See, so you are all getting ready to bed this season then? Is that when I'm
Sort of.
put it to bed? What's next after the season ends?
The next show, The Podfather. So,
okay.
So what happens is
I want that T-shirt.
We'll do it. I know. CornWarriorsTV.com. Cop the Podfather T-shirts. They're super cool.
Podfather.
Totally want a T-shirt.
So, yeah. So we're doing 509. I think 516. The season finale will air on like December 23rd.
Okay.
And then I think we have a week where we're not airing anything, and then the week after that, we'll air the season premiere of The Podfather. So we'll go literally straight from this show into the next show, and then by the time that's over, we'll start filming for both shows.
And
I mean, we have like, it's just a revolving door. There is no end, even though it feels like, oh, you know, like when you do a movie or something like that, it's like, cool, we're done. But this is just
when
like,
you do a movie or something like
I've never
that.
done a
When you
movie.
do a
I've never
movie.
done a movie or anything like that. I just know that like I do a lot of reading in this stuff to learn as much as I possibly can. I mean, I'm like a sponge because this is not, I don't have a lot of experience with it. So, you know, I bought a bunch of books and just like read in my off time about how to be I literally bought a book called, you know, What is a Producer?
What is it?
How to be a producer. It's called something like that.
Being a producer for dummies.
It was essentially like this big, and it was written by the dude who produced The Twilight Zone. So it was like super informative, and you learn all these kind of like tools. And I don't know, because you hear producer and it's like, what does that even really mean?
Well, I was about to ask you. So, like, what does your day to day look like, like as a producer?
Okay, so like it'll be completely different from day to day. So right now, one of my main top priorities is our social media. I keep up with all of our social media, which requires putting promos out there. We do, you know, 15, 30, and 60-second promos for every single episode every week. So putting those on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at regulatory processes. I have like an organizational chart of when to put what where. But that's really a pretty minuscule part of it. And then our media and analytics is what our metrics and analytics is what I've been working on. So all of our social media impressions and engagement, how many times we've been viewed on all of our YouTube analytics, our Amazon Prime, our RFD analytics, I've been like parsing through that data for our entire lifetime
Mm-hmm.
so that we can show our growth over lifetime to sell the show to sponsors.
Right.
So right now, my boss and our swagronomist and sales lead.
Swagronomist?
I was about to say the what now?
Coined that myself. Thank you very much.
Oh my
He is an
God.
agronomist. So essentially, but he doesn't have the education. He has the experience of an agronomist. He's lived on a farm. He does his own
I'm
farm.
sorry. For those who may not know,
swagronomist.
What's an agronomist?
An agronomist is pretty much just like a person who understands farming on an educational level. So like they know the wide variety of the biologicals, the seed treatments. You know, that's something that I need more books on is agriculture. I don't know as much about it as I'd like to, but this guy does. Nate Enan, big shout out to him.
Is he in the parking lot right now?
He just dropped me off, and so
do you ride back?
He's our swagronomist, and so essentially, and our sales lead. So him and my boss, the executive producer and creator of the show, Seth Wood, are taking the metrics and analytics that I am collating and showing it to sponsors and saying, this is our growth over time. This is why you should buy the show. Other day-to-days include, you know, taking our shot lists for a day and then ordering them of what to put in an episode and how to put them in what order. It's almost completely different every day, which is awesome.
Well, so focusing. By the way, with nobody watching,
they listen on Spotify.
Where's your girlfriend?
Huh?
Where's your girlfriend? Where's Teresa?
Teresa is actually they're auditing the office today.
That was not an interesting answer.
Hey, audits are audits.
Teresa is fighting a bear somewhere in a forest.
That's an interesting answer. She's not watching this show. That's the key.
Well, no, she
takeaway.
Very well may be. Like, this is not accurate at all. I've found.
I know, right?
Really?
It's not accurate at all.
Well, so that's what we want to know. So you're learning all of this information, which would be really useful to us, as it turns out, because we're also looking to find I can't even say sponsors. I can't even say sponsors.
Scomskers.
Swagometers. Swagonomists.
Business.
Well, that I found is one of the key selling points. So like with our sponsors, full cards on the table, we do like different packages for different things that we can offer. For example, we have commercials baked into the show.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times you'll cut to a commercial break and it'll be whatever channel is running a commercial. But we actually put a commercial for our sponsors at the end of segments so they can pay for commercials that are produced by us and aired by us. Product placement in the show.
Farmers eating Doritos.
Farmers. It's a lot of farm equipment. So a lot of times our sponsors will give people like biological fertilizers, fungicides, nitrogens, concaves, tractors, you know, it's a wide variety of stuff. And then they actually will like talk about it during the show. So they'll say, hey, I'm doing a trial with this seed variety versus this seed variety. And this is how it's going. And a lot of the times it's obviously a very educational program that's made for farmers, but I've felt that as a non-farmer, I glean a lot from it. And, you know, it's funny. Some of these guys are characters. Some of them are like superstars. I mean, they just like really shine on television.
One of my best friends is hand to God. One of my best friends is actually a corn farmer in Nebraska, and he's one of those, you know, landed people. He doesn't actually, you know, do the farming. He puts that he's a farmer on his tax return, but he lives in DC with his husband, and you know, has a
good for him.
Exactly right. But he's, you know, I'm constantly, ever since I've known him, and I've known him for almost 20 years now, it's like, you know, I want to get out there and see the land. I want to go play. I want to go see. I want to go, you know, because it's fascinating to me. Like it's something I know nothing about, and I love things like that. You know, because it's such a, you know, food is so vital. I mean, we need it to live. Literally need to live. And so it's like, okay, how do they do that? You know, and I love that kind of stuff. I need to watch a show. I full disclosure, I haven't seen the show yet.
It's out there. There's plenty of it. We're in our fifth season of the corn show, second season of the bean show, and there's a lot of content out there for it. And I don't know, we're all really proud of it, and you learn so much. Like I'm learning something every single day about production and agriculture, which is really cool.
So I want to pivot.
Please.
I do want to pivot, and I know you got a list of things that you want to talk about.
These are all from something else. I just want to make sure we plug the social medias at some point.
Man, you gotta come back and help me with that.
Yeah.
Tell me where to start, because I look at all the stuff and I get overwhelmed. But that's not what I want to pivot to. What I want to pivot to is talk about what recovery's going like. How is recovery going for you?
It is phenomenal. I celebrated 2 years clean on September 23rd this year.
Did you? I missed it. Damn.
Congratulations. Like it's interesting because I went from, living in a recovery house,
right.
And still am dating someone in recovery and working in recovery. And like my whole life was kind of like organized around recovery. So when I switched jobs, I moved out. So I wasn't living in a recovery house anymore. But I still go to meetings. I still go to my home group every Monday.
Yeah.
And I still talk to my sponsor. I have a sponsee, and I have like a.
You have a sponsee?
Yes, in my opinion, I have a lot more of a healthier relationship to recovery. And at the back of my head, sometimes I think that I am a little complacent sometimes, but I essentially know my goals and hang out with people in recovery and hang out with people who aren't in recovery and just feel like a lot more balanced in my life.
Okay.
Being able to kind of take a step back and say, okay, I can like be a normal person in the real world who's in recovery instead of being someone entirely in a recovery sphere that's also in recovery.
Yeah.
Because I personally, for me, this is just from my experience, is I need to, I don't know, kind of, it's a big world out there, and it's not just a recovery world. So I need to feel like I get more out of the balance of both worlds.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it does.
And that's not true for everyone.
Well, no. And I think, Nathan's humble opinion, for me, recovery is everything. And which isn't to say like, I have to be in a recovery meeting with recovery people who aren't drinking alcohol and do blah, blah, blah all the time. It means like my recovery comes first by meaning like, I was at a party with my cousins, a barbecue a few months ago. And, my cousin handed me a beer. It was his 50th birthday. And he knows I'm in recovery, but like his idea of what recovery means, he wasn't being a jerk or he didn't push it with me. He just kind of handed it to me. And he's like, I know that I can't offer this to your brother because my brother's in recovery too. He's like, but here, you want beer? And I'm like, I'm okay. And it was quick. It was, to the point, but that was it. It was the extent of the conversation. And then I'm at a party, at a barbecue in the backyard with my family, playing kickball with my 70-year-old aunt, and, having a blast. Oh my God, we had too much fun. And it was because of that I started swimming afterwards. That's another story. But
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but
oh my God, we were so exhausted. You have no idea. And then we went to Vegas the next weekend. And after Vegas, I was like, I am so fat and out of shape. And then, so I started swimming after that. I've been swimming for 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Best full body workout you can get.
And it's so easy on my joints. I love it, But the thing is, what I'm saying is that like I have other interests, that don't involve me sitting here and talking to people about why they shouldn't use drugs all the time. And it's because I have other interests, and I talk about my other interests that I am discovering more other facets of my purpose. Which helps me to be a better person, to sit there and say, you know what, I don't need to use drugs and alcohol to be wonderful and happy and have purpose.
And you know what I think it is for me personally is that I think it is empowering for me to wear recovery like a badge out in front of people who don't understand it or either don't always perceive it to where it's empowering. It's a way of me taking my power back when I am in these states. Like I, again, did a lot of traveling in the last year and a lot of it is getting offered something and saying, no, I'm in recovery. They're like, well, what's that mean? It means that if I drink that, I'm going to be on this table with my shirt off and then probably doing cocaine in the bathroom with someone that you would not think does cocaine.
This doesn't end with just me drinking a beer.
So and then a lot of people chuckle and they're like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It usually doesn't require a lot of follow-up conversation, but
I like that you really put it out there.
It is, because I think that's the best way to explain it to people is like, I suffer from the disease, and it doesn't stop with just this one that you're going to try to offer me. And I really appreciate it. It's very courteous of you, but politely, this is a bad idea for everyone. So like being able to have the opportunity to educate people like that while, solidifying and empowering myself is kind of like how I go through the process of not being as involved in recovery 100%. Doesn't mean that I'm not personally putting my recovery first and involved in it. Does that make sense?
Well, right.
I can be a part of it.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah.
I'm much the same way in that like my recovery life is it's constant, but it's not like people give me shit all the time because they're like, oh, you don't attend enough meetings and you don't do this and you don't do that. And it's like, my recovery life is kind of, it's molded around my personality and it's molded around how I operate as a person. And like everyone that's in my life right now that cares about me and that I care about know that my recovery is the most important thing in the world to me. It means everything to me. And if you're going to be a part of my life, you have to understand that.
That's well said. I totally agree with that. That's how my friends are. Is like, when we go out,
if that's not something you can wrap your
Yeah.
head around or understand, then we can be acquaintances, but I'm probably not going to see you a whole lot. We're probably not going to hang out a whole lot. Teresa, like, when we got back together, like she stopped drinking altogether. She's not in recovery or anything. She's not an addict by any means. But she's completely clean now, and she did that not just for herself, but she knew that, that this was so important to me that, it's, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying. Like I said, I don't go to a whole lot of meetings. I'm not the greatest at doing step work, but my entire life essentially revolves around what I'm doing for my personal recovery, and it's kept me clean.
Yeah.
There's because all three of us have, I'm staff, you're staff, at a recovery community organization. You've been staff here as well, and we're all in recovery. And all three of us, started as individuals, as participants first. We came in here, and I think you went right to Scott House. It was Dumbarton at the time, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went right
to Scott House.
You and I both
fresh
went
off of
right
jail.
to Chamberlain. Did you go to Chamberlain first?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and right out of jail, and I went to Chamberlain, a week after jail. So, we started in our recovery journey through the recovery community organization. And there were a lot of suggestions we took, it was, and so what I'm doing is I'm saying this for people here who may not know what recovery can be like. Starting off the journey, it was really, really vital that I did attend as many meetings as possible, because I didn't know how to have a network of people in my life who didn't use drugs and alcohol. I wasn't successful. I hadn't learned a lot of those things, how to make better choices in my life, and so like meetings were vital. Meetings are still vital to my recovery. I don't go to nearly as many as I did when I first jumped into recovery, but I'm still, I have got my favorite meetings. I've got meetings I'll try to go to every once in a while that I have no idea what they'll be like. I haven't done that in a while, but I like to go to random meetings, and I have a really, really tight bond with my sponsor. My sponsor who knows when I'm lying to myself. That's the important thing, because I don't know when I'm lying to myself all the time. And I'm developing real relationships with friends. And a lot of those friends are people I've met here. Most of my friends are people I've met here who were other participants at the time. So, but the transition happens sort of when you get into that sort of weird liminal spot at McShin or any place where you're a participant, and then you sort of migrated into pseudo staff to full on staff, but living in housing, and you're a house leader and all this. And so all these different elements happen, and it gets a little bit, it's an interesting it's interesting to navigate. And I think we've all done it because we've all come out of it, and we're still maintaining a recovery, because once you get out, it's kind of, okay, I love the people I work with. Like, I work with great people, amazing people in recovery, and some I lived with, and we're doing cool stuff. And I will still look at them and, like, some people here, I will come and I will talk about what's really going on with my life.
Sure.
And this is now my job. So my recovery and where I work are now separate, and it's been a hard thing for me It was difficult a year ago when I first got out of the housing, but now that I've been out of the housing for a year, I love that big bright line.
Mhm.
This is a big piece of who I am and what I do. Like, I have purpose in my job, my career. I have a great purpose, and I love sharing and talking to the new people in recovery, and sharing some hope and stuff. But when I go home, I've I've learned how to create really good barriers, boundaries, and that's been really important because, as like you said, it's like my whole life, if I make it, I can be completely surrounded by this recovery community in a
Mhm.
way that can be codependent. That's not what you said, but that's what I was getting from what you were saying. Because yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
that's I don't know, pretty accurate
yeah,
in my opinion, and the McShin Foundation saved my life. I
yeah,
love all
me
the
too,
people
hands down.
that I wouldn't be where I am without this place and the opportunities that it's given me, the staff
Yeah.
specifically. You're a major part of that, Nathan. Jesse's one of the best bosses I've ever had,
Oh my
like
God, hands
hands
down.
down.
Yeah.
Same with Honesty and John, and what
John
what's
pissed me off today, though.
what's
Big
important
time.
is it was kind of
Love you,
this it
John.
was kind of this bug in my ear that I always had, is that it's like, launching your recovery is
Hmm.
kind of why I felt like it was time for me to leave, is that this place gives me the tools to succeed, and then it's my responsibility to implement those tools.
Hmm.
It's not everyone's responsibility to make sure I'm implementing them. So, like, you know part of my character defects is I have to learn on my own way. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it just, like, is what it is. And
Yeah.
so, like, at some point, the baby bird has to leave the nest to learn how to fly. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
pretty cliche or whatever, but that's just like how I operate, is by getting, like, my own hands dirty and shooting first and asking questions later a lot of times. And it,
Shooting first and asking questions. But you know
yeah,
what? That is so relatable.
yeah.
That is so relatable. When you left back in February, and I've told you this before, but I mean, like, maybe not to the extent that you realize, but I went through a really deep mourning period, mourning, and didn't realize, like, why am I so mopey? I'm like, I miss Alex. I mean, I'm really glad. I mean, of course, I'm happy for
I
you.
miss everyone here
Yeah.
too.
I mean, but you're doing amazing things, and that's of course that's what I hope for anybody, But I did mourn for you quite a bit. I'm like, I miss my guy on the third floor that makes me laugh. And then of course Dixie came up, and I'm like, the first thing I said to Jesse, who was our, both our boss, I said to Jesse, I'm like, well, you've hired a woman to be the med coordinator and the urine screen coordinator. I'm not doing any urine screens.
I remember when you said that too. You were like, nice.
Nope. And well, not only because I knew that would be the case, but also my personal life too, and what was going on with me. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm no longer living in housing. Don't have to do it. What a dick I am sometimes. But and of course Dixie was wonderful, and now she's moved on to become the female program director, which is amazing, right?
Totally.
Matthew Grant's in that position, and he's doing an amazing job too. So I love the way things happen in this place,
Mhm.
in a way that is messy, and the way that can seem really frustrating in the moment. And then we have these moments, like earlier today, we had a meeting talking about what recovery coaching is. And actually, I don't know what you think about that, but that was probably one of the more um, I love my boss. I love Jesse.
Mhm.
And I think that was probably one of the more effective meetings we've had in a long time.
It was very effective,
Informative too, yeah.
but I'm going to be very honest. So Teresa packed me a huge lunch, and
Yeah.
I scarfed the whole thing right before that meeting. Boy, I was fighting the food coma hard. I was just, dude, I was sitting there just like,
Got them woozy eyes.
I was like, all
Woozy.
right,
Yeah.
concentrate. Like, I was thinking about, like, standing up and walking around the room, but then that would have looked weird, and I'd have been peeing in a cup, and all that. And
Woof.
Yeah.
like, but yeah, man, that food coma was hitting. But no, like, it was. You're right. It was really good, because that's the thing. He didn't go over a lot of, like, the actual, like, technical filing stuff. It was like, hey, here's
Yeah, I think
here's how to do stuff.
yeah. Well,
And that's one of the biggest things I miss about this job, is recovery coaching. If I'm
Yeah.
being real honest with you, that's like the biggest thing that I miss, which is like why I am happy to be like a sponsor, which is like it's very akin, in my
Yeah.
opinion, to that, role of being able to give back,
Yeah.
giving something with nothing expected in return, which you can still do on a daily level, but it's something special between two people who with a shared experience.
Yeah, yeah. I love the way you just put that out there. I know that you had a tremendous impact on all the lives you touched while you're here, but of course, I'm sure while you were here, but I'm sure you continue to have that out in the world. And I think that people like you are the like working with people like you, and I work with a lot of people like you. That's the cool thing, who are really dedicated and really have an impact on everything they touch. It's a real joy to be able to come to work, And if you get to like there's a distinction between a joy, of a person that's doing amazing stuff, and I'm like, all right, well, yeah, get out of my office. I'm trying to get shit done,
Yeah.
or come on, hang out, let's play games, and that was you with me, and I'm like. I miss that, but at the same time, it's like I am so happy to
You
see.
probably
what
get a
you're
lot
doing
more
now.
done.
Well, no, I think now with Justin here and Patrick and
Yep, I was about to say no, he does not.
No. No, see, I don't know if you know this, but I've known Justin literally since my first day as a participant.
That's amazing.
He was my house leader, first off, my first house leader, and I know, so that's
And now what do we get to do all day? Business.
Businesses.
We're business people doing business.
business.
Hostile takeover.
Still take over. Oh, we this show's gone. But I'll tell you, man, I love recovery. Looks really good on you. Recovery and everything. How's your brother? How are your parents? How's the hotel?
The family's good. The family's really good. I don't know. Just like life is super busy. I was telling, my coworker Nate when he was dropping me off that like Kelly and I talked about going grocery shopping last Monday, not this Monday, but the Monday before. And it's just like finding time to do stuff. You make time for what's important, I
Yeah.
believe, but
Mhm.
it's difficult a lot of times. Like between balancing recovery, hobbies and interests, stuff like this, work. It's not always easy, but it's definitely a lot of fun, I think. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
remember in those first few months, it's not a lot of fun. You know what I'm saying? I remember being here in the big room like every Saturday, like, why am I here on a Saturday? I should be out using or making money, and I'm doing neither. But it's those Saturdays that I think like help me have Saturdays that are like totally packed now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my weekends it just flies by and it's a blast. But then I'm like, all right, now time to do it all over again because you got to make time for what's important, I think. And I don't know. I'm just like, been playing soccer every Sunday. That's been really nice. Organized soccer. Matt Connor, we're on the same team. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And so that's been really nice playing like an organized sport for the first time in a long time. And I don't know. I'm not like a gym rat. I don't do a lot of like healthy things. So like being able to go out, be productive, and I don't know, something that's good for my psyche and get out of my head a little bit, and that I do consistently show up on time every week, like as a commitment is helpful for me. I am not a disciplined person. It's like one of the worst things that I don't like about myself is I'm not disciplined. I am not punctual because I'm not disciplined. It's just like kind of the root of a lot of other things. So when I make a commitment to something, I try to be better at it than I probably will be. And so I give myself more stuff to do so that I can get better at that discipline.
I have a recovery coachee right now, and he keeps using that word discipline and discipline. If I just do this, I'll be more disciplined. If I could just do this, and I'm like, yeah, let me tell you about my experience with that. and I laugh.
Maybe we need to chat.
Well, I mean, actually, it's funny because I think of you a lot with this particular coachee, and he's one of those like. I'm sort of in the position where I kind of choose my coachees. I'm like yeah, that's gonna be my coachee, and so I chose him. And not all the time, but usually, I'm like that's a guy I'm going to work with. And I like to pick the ones who need to have the full range of services, because I'm like, all right, we're gonna sit down on the couch and we can talk about some shit. We can have some fun.
Yeah.
I get to stretch out some muscles, with my mind, and hopefully give some hope or something. I don't know, but I keep hearing that, and I think of you a lot. He probably would be a really good. You'd probably get along with him really well. Yeah, he kind of annoys me in the same way you did.
Yeah,
too.
there we go. I knew it was coming.
No, he's hilarious. He's smart, and he's got a lot of he's just stuck in that I'm awkward and weird. Not that you're awkward and weird, but it's like I'm awkward and weird, and I don't know what to do with that.
Not that you're awkward and weird at all, but
Well,
but he is, and he reminds me of you. No, but
he also reminds me of me, because I'm awkward and weird.
Well, and to kind of jump off of that a little bit, the most important thing that I had to do in my recovery was like, one, figure out who I was, gain my identity, and then step 2 was be okay with that. Like, now I've actually noticed I can hear people like talking about me in the background, and I don't even it doesn't even faze me. I don't even listen to it anymore. Like, I don't know, you hear your name every now and then.
Okay.
Like in a room or something like that, and it just it doesn't even bother me anymore.
There goes that Alex.
I don't know what they're saying. I don't really care, but that's the point. Is it's first understanding who you are, and then second being comfortable with who you are, and third not caring what other people think about who you are, which I think is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? And that only comes from experience, and it's something that starts from figuring out who you are, which is the longest and most arduous process in my personal experience.
Arduous.
Yeah.
Agronomy.
Here's a $5 word.
Yeah. Well, arduous. That's a great word. Agronomy, though, I really wasn't sure what that word was when you said it. Agronomist. I really wasn't.
It's probably a better definition than what I gave.
No, but I mean, I contextually I knew it was. I've heard the word before, even without you really defining it. I was like, I think I know what that is, and I was actually right. But at the same time, I love that. You've used 2 big words, arduous. I use the word arduous all the time too. But anyway, finding yourself, accepting yourself, and then just not giving a crap, in a way that, if I may, in a way, for me at least, that honors the fact that, yes, I'm doing my thing and I'm not hurting others. I think that's an element of that I have to put in there too, because if I'm doing my thing, but my thing, means that I'm shitting all over everybody, well, then maybe my thing needs to be a little different,
And that's one thing to kind of go back to, in my opinion, our conversation earlier is about practicing recovery principles around not recovery people. So I still snap at people when I don't get what I want, or I will say, this is what I want, or this is what I need you to do. And then they'll say no. And I'll say, well, it's got to get done. And then I'll get all flustered. And when I don't get what I want, I can get impatient and snippy. And so when that happens, I then have to practice a 10-step and apologize to them and say, I got to simmer for a little bit. I got to take a step back, evaluate my behaviors and actions, and then say, I apologize. I was in the wrong here. You were, trying to speak your piece, and I shut you down. And this is my fault. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I don't do it as often as I have to used to, but it's something that I still have to do, or else I feel like I'm shorting myself.
Look at that recovery.
Yeah,
look at
a little bit.
Look at that recovery on you. That's nice. I like that. I should have arranged this so that you came and did a group at the same time. I should have thought of that.
I'll do one eventually.
Yeah, you would. It would. I think you'd benefit. The group would benefit from having you, here and showing back. And we, if you ever have a moment, can come on a Wednesday. Come speak. Show that the alumni thing is working. Like this is what it looks like. What is it? It's been 9 months since you lived in housing. March. You moved
About
out in February.
something like that.
7 months.
Yeah.
I can't freaking math. Math.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But anyway, you've been out for several months now, and still going strong in recovery, and in a way that I think is very relatable to a lot of people, like discovering your purpose, living in that purpose, and going forward with your life. And you can be in recovery and not work at a recovery community organization, which,
and I'll tell you what, it's like, I don't know if I've emphasized this enough, that it's still not peaches and cream. Like, I looked up my compliance summary to get my license back, and apparently I can't get it back until 2023. Which is like such a bummer. And it's like still wreaking, the wreckage of our past still, wreaks havoc on our
Oof.
present sometimes, and it sucks. But it just means that like I have to go through the process of fixing that stuff bit by bit, even though it feels like it was a lifetime ago, 2 years ago, 7 months ago, whatever. That stuff still catches up with you, and you still have to like deal with it. And then I have to deal with my emotions of how I'm dealing with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How do you deal with it?
Lean on other people,
I was gonna say you
support,
bitch at
honestly.
Kelly and
No, I just like I've come to like a definite more realization of like it is what it is. My first reaction to stuff is like it is what it is. Then I get pissed off. Usually it would be like the other way around, but the first thing is like it just is. And the more I get frustrated with it or upset with it or scared or sad, then the more I'm giving it control. It's like some straight up serenity prayer shit, though.
Oh wow.
It is. So I have to like my first reaction is it just is what it is, and then I can get a little bit more balance and control of my feelings toward it, as long as my first thought is what can I do about it? What can I not do about it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't let it ruin my day. I can't let it ruin my life, but I can, reach out to support networks, save money so I can get it back as soon as possible,
Yeah.
reach out to a lawyer to get it back, a restricted license as soon as possible. And, you know, just planning. I'm not a great planner, but it's something that I've gotten better at, I think.
See how much time we've already spent?
We're just kicking it.
I just want to sit here for like another couple hours. I want to hijack you.
We're just kicking it.
Oh, but I do want to. I want to pivot again. I want to talk about your relationship and how's that going. This isn't a. I have no idea what's going on in your life. So
Yeah.
so I hope this isn't a jump on you thing. But
No,
how's it going?
it's great. We live together. We got a bigger place together,
You
which is
moved?
nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm still nearby. So I
Oh.
used to be like an actual 2 blocks away from here. Now I'm like 4 blocks away from here.
Mm.
In a bit of a bigger place with 2 cats.
Oh, I've seen the cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's also in recovery. So it's like we each have our separate recoveries, like weirdly enough, like I don't know. I have a men's only NA meeting that I go to.
Mm.
She has her home group that she goes to. So like I'll go to her home group every now and then. Um, but I don't want to like impose, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes. So we definitely keep our recovery separate, but she goes to college. She works a full-time job that she just got a promotion at. And is constantly running errands and pretty much driving me wherever I need to go. So,
Oh,
and then we
yeah.
go, out of town to visit my son every 2 weeks in Newport News.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're a team. I felt like I've been in relationships before where you're with a partner, but I feel like I've never really felt the team aspect of it, minus the codependency of it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel like that. Like we each have our individual lives that we get to share with each other, not like we're attached to at the hip at all times.
It's a pretty awesome feeling, isn't it?
It really is. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I feel comfortable with who I am without her, but I just prefer to be with her more
Yeah.
often than not.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to say that. So how is your son?
He's great.
Yeah. 5?
He'll turn 5 in March.
Okay.
So he dressed up as an ankylosaurus for Halloween.
Do what now?
An ankylosaurus, not a dinosaur, a specific type of dinosaur. An ankylosaurus. Because he wants to be a paleontologist when he grows up.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And he says these words to me as like a 4-year-old, and I'm
He
like,
says these words.
"Who are you?" Like, no, but it's brilliant. I wish I saw him more often. Kind of working on that, but the relationship with his mom and her boyfriend is probably better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
After wreaking havoc.
Sure. Well, you're not trying to get her back, and she's not trying to get you, and
No,
and you're not
it's
trying to
co-parenting scenario.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's what it sounds like. That
Absolutely.
sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some more steps to be made when it comes to seeing him more often. But we all operate amicably,
Okay.
and it's pretty nice.
Okay.
It's really nice.
So they deliver groceries now. Like you can get anything you want delivered to your house
Oh
at this
man,
point.
yeah,
You
it's
know
true.
that? You just go online on a website and say, you know what? I want 2 carrots today.
Yeah, but then you
doing,
don't get the
doing it
that
online.
feeling of like seeing that thing on the shelf, and be like, I'm gonna buy
Well, no, I do not
Bang,
get it twisted. I
agree.
love the instant gratification of shopping. And especially groceries for whatever reason. I love. I mean, this belly doesn't feed itself.
It's something I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that
Yeah.
I should consider though.
But as a solution, I'm a solution based guy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes, the smartest people will miss the most obvious solutions.
Yeah,
we do
I'm
get
old school
groceries
too.
delivered every once in a while.
Is
Yeah.
is if I'm honest, like if I'm reading, I don't own a Kindle for a reason. I buy books. You know what I'm saying? Like I just got 2 books from Barnes and Noble delivered books delivered to me the other day, but that's because I don't know, I like the feeling of doing something myself sometimes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Honesty
What did
says.
honesty say?
Honesty says. Well, first of all, I don't think we said this earlier. She said,
That's a smart
Alex!
idea.
But she enjoys the
Gosh, I love
groceries,
honesty.
shopping for groceries online. She's downstairs, I think, and picking them up. She was right before the show. So yeah, because I've been telling everybody today. I'm like, Alex is on the show. I'm just like, I've been really,
Blow it
really
up.
excited to see you and catch up with you because we've been talking about it for weeks.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Oh,
I want a signed copy.
I know. He's so excited about that too.
But
I'm
that is
so
also the thing
excited.
is I'm really bad about starting things and then either not finishing them or like starting so many things to where I'm like, for example, reading 4 or 5 books right now.
Yeah.
All really slowly instead of just like sitting down with one. Like
Yeah.
it's a bad habit.
I love
Same with like TV shows.
to read. I love to read. The tactile experience of it is, it's just a very intimate experience for me, and I love, diving into the characters. And I tend to read more nonfiction but I love that, and I don't do it enough. I have excuses, like, oh, I don't have the time, or I'm tired, or big one for me is always my eyes. It's like, oh, it's just so exhausting on my eyes. I need new glasses. I need, and so I have, I have Audible, and so I have,
Audiobooks.
yeah, and I got that right before I went on the trip last year, and I didn't even really use it all that much on the trip. And I go through spurts with that. In fact, I was actually just thinking I need to cancel or pause the subscription because it's like $14.95 a month, and I have like 10 books in my queue. But I'll do the same thing. Like I've been listening. There's just one thing that Tion Daily has emotional sobriety, right? And it's really big, thick, dense book, and I believe it's her reading it. I don't know if it's not her; it's somebody really soothing who's reading it. And it's really, really dense reading, and it's fascinating stuff, and and it's very, very relatable. I'm like, it's like, oh, she's explaining my entire life. Wow, that's why I do that. Wow, but it's also, as revelatory as it is, it's also very, oh God, I don't want to deal with that right now too. So it's really dense, hard reading or listening.
Anxiety inducing.
Yeah, kind of almost, but at the same time, it's freedom. But like, I kind of want to have the book and the listening at the same time. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, I've always been big on TV and movies, which is why I'm happy to have this like dream job. But it's interesting because it's still like a really big hobby of mine. But now I consider it like research, so I do it even more often. I'm honest though, because it's like I like try to set certain goals of like how many movies I want to watch this month or something like that, and how I can glean different information off of it. And I don't know, like I feel like it's like research. Like when I watch something with Kelly, she'll be like, "Well, what did you think about that?" And I was like, I'm thinking of it as like a critical lens of I don't like how they played this music at this time. It didn't make sense. Like the
Right.
making process of it, like how they did everything. And she's like, "But what'd you think of like the story? What'd you think of the characters?" I'm like, "It was all right." I just don't understand why they did this shot at this place.
Dude, I'm the same way when it comes to like live sound, like any kind of concert I go to.
Yeah, it feels like it's ruined.
Dude, and I'm like, why is he compressing the bass so hard? He doesn't need to do that. I'm like,
Totally.
It sucks. I've tried to get out of doing that though. Like
It's like taking the red pill though. You kind of
Yeah.
like can't undo it. I mean,
Yeah,
all you can
yeah.
do is like once it happens, you can't really
Yeah,
turn it
it's-
off. So you
that's
just
it.
kind of like
Done.
put it to the side and be like, oh, this is nice.
But then I'll go see like I don't know, like Tool or somebody, and like I'm sitting here like analyzing their sound engineer, like I'm being critical of Tool
sound
Yeah,
engineer.
sweet, good job, Justin. Like,
Dude, I'm so glad you said that too,
Yeah.
because it's like some fat guy eating Cheetos making fun of the quarterback.
yeah,
Like,
exactly,
who
exactly.
am I, dude?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm the schmuck in the stands, like in the 10th row, like watching. Like,
Yeah.
oh, sweet. And I'm like, their sound engineer sucks.
it's amazing too, because like I'll get on Twitter and it is the middle of football season. I like watching football and I am in fantasy leagues and I gamble on it, which I'm not very good at. And it's so funny how people are just like so critical when it's like, where's your perspective?
Yeah.
And then I rationalize to myself like, oh, I can analyze this TV show because I'm a television producer.
Yeah.
So it's like I get to pat myself on the back and be like, I do it. This is my job. Why are you doing it? Like, when I'm just like some nobody who like I don't know.
Yeah.
Is just lucky,
Does Kelly get annoyed watching movies and TVs with you?
Yeah.
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 I knew
We
the answer.
we still do it often, and it's a blast to us. We're just kind of like into different things, and she's like, thankfully, she's into it. She's into TV and movies, so it's something that we can share together. And I'm usually like a sit quietly, watch, and then like unload my thoughts afterward. But more often than not, we usually agree on what we like and dislike, which is pretty cool.
So what are you watching now? Anything fun? As
Television
a big shot television producer.
television. I'm like, we'll usually Succession every Sunday is super tight. I love that show on HBO.
Okay.
I watched probably like 4 or 5 movies in the last 2 days.
Mm.
Like Moneyball. I just like
I never saw
really
that.
like Moneyball.
That's
Right now,
20
like
years old,
like
isn't it?
I like watching movies and seeing the bones of it in like the screenplay, for example. So I'm like trying to write in my off time. So like I got like the screenwriting book and I'm working on like a pilot.
Yeah.
That's actually like it's about like a guy getting into a recovery community organization.
Really?
It's in the very, very early development phase,
Yeah.
but the whole season would be about a guy, getting in trouble and having to go to an RCO, and the meat and potatoes of the series would be, the crazy cast of characters that you meet at an RCO.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
And I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
feel like it's a pretty unique idea. And the cool thing is with like cancel culture nowadays, you can say and do whatever you want on the show because these people are sick.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your cop out, right? They can say this depraved stuff and not be like canceled or
Right.
or can be non-PC and get away with it because
Right.
we're addicts.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Except, okay, every time I drop an F-bomb, and if I'm with mixed company, every time I drop an F-bomb, I'm like, we're really authentic here. It's
Oh, yeah,
authentic peer-to-peer
yeah.
recovery. And I'm like, oh, I can't keep leaning on that crutch.
Sorry, mental illness. I don't know what you want
Thank
from me.
you. I don't know. So that's something that I've kind of been like really looking at as like through the lens of watching a lot of pop culture and content and seeing like, all right, I think I read in this screenwriting book that like there is no I want to make sure I articulate it correctly. There's no such thing as a good movie with a bad script. There's no such thing as a bad movie with a good script. Every single like bad movie is because it's a bad screenplay. A lot of times. So like,
Quick question. I hear the word screenplay. What exactly is a screenplay?
so it's like the pretty much the written organization of a movie.
Okay.
So like,
Is that different from a script?
No, they're essentially the same thing.
Okay.
The screenplay is exactly like if it were a play, this is what it'd look like, but it goes on the screen. So like
Gotcha.
a lot of times if you're reading Romeo and Juliet, that's a play. But if it was turned into a movie, it'd be like a screenplay. So it kind of just says like shot directions of like, exterior house,
Oh, okay, I
suburban
got you.
neighborhood. And then
Pan
it's
left, chirping bird.
Right.
interior, guy with glasses at table talks to other guys at
Gotcha,
glasses with
gotcha.
table. And then it's Nathan, how are you doing today? Alex, not so great. How are you? You know, it's just very, very descriptive. But then a director would take that and turn it like into a movie. So a director runs like the creative process.
That makes
But
sense.
like writing a screenplay, I've never done before.
Yeah.
And you know, by doing music, I've done a lot of writing, and it's just something that I would really enjoy doing. But it is not easy because I am very critical of myself. So I'll like get done with like a 2-page version of it, and now I'm like ready to send it to people for like feedback, and I'm like, it's not ready. So I'll just go back and doctor it and keep going back and keep going back and just like put off the process of getting feedback on it.
You gotta let that go.
Yeah.
And if you ever figure out how to do that, let me know how to do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I'll hit you up, man.
I recently sat down. There are things that block me and you know my life and you know that come up in my brain and will block me. And you know I have tools and whatnot. I mean I'm in recovery, but there's one particular issue that is a constant in my life that I just don't. You know I just have a hard time. I'm done even articulating it now, and I'm not. And without getting into the specifics of that issue, which is not because I don't want to share, it's because we're at 56 minutes. But the issue blocks me so much that when I sit down, because one of the ways it helps me is to write about it, but I have a hard time writing about the issue without considering what other people might read about it. And I've written about this. I mean, it's a story I've told and written about, but I've always written it with the eye of with the mindset that somebody else will read it, and I don't. And for me, I mean, that's what you're doing, obviously, with the screenplay. And there's parts of that story that just I want to be that I'm blocked with being raw with my emotions by sharing it in a way that other people are going to watch, and to be vulnerable about that and to put that emotion out there. You know, at some point I would love to find, you know, where that, you know, that point is, you know, where I can just be raw and like, this is me. To hell with what you think. And yet there are moments.
Thankfully, doing music helped me with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is like when you finally cross that threshold of like, I don't care if people are seeing this or not. This is important to me. At times when I was writing lyrics, it was like, I don't even care if you understand it or not. I think it's cool and I think it sounds cool. And if you don't get it, then that's on
I
you.
mean, shit, music is a very personal thing, anyways.
It really is. So
thing.
I think like that should translate to doing like a screenplay decently well. But the problem is I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? It's the first one. When you write your first verse or whatever, you're just doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like trying to be a perfectionist at something that I've never done before feels like depreciating returns.
I know the
times.
feeling all too well, video.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's tough.
then yeah, we're not exactly yeah. The way it is around here, well, Honesty's watching. I love you, Honesty. But the way it can be around here, it's like we don't know what to do either. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure it out, we're just gonna bitch about you until you figure it out or leave. No, I mean that's not exactly fair. It's usually until you figure it out or we find another place for you to fit in. I mean, let's be real. There's certain aspects of my job that were just never gonna be done right, and so they got moved to other people until they come back to me.
How did the advocacy go in the last few months? I mean, it's like I know it's not never done. Speaking of revolving doors, but I mean the election's over.
Well,
I don't want not to like.
Yeah,
probably
I know, right?
A can of worms at the 58-minute mark. I was just wondering, like, how was that?
That's funny because that pivot was the exact opposite of where I wanted to go. Because where I wanted to go was saying, you know, if you would spit for us a little bit, spit. That's the word. That's what the kids use, right?
I knew it was coming, so I was like, nah.
Oh, okay. I'm finally getting what you meant. I thought you physically were about to
spit.
I was
like,
no,
dude,
don't spit on the mic.
Alex is a freaking monster. He's a monster, man, with the beats and stuff, and I don't know
with the beats and stuff and the TikToks,
the hippity hoppity
what the youngins
music
are doing these days.
You know, he's a freaking beast at that stuff, and you know, I will answer your question, I promise. But one of the things I really it's one thing we miss. You know, I loved when Alex was the house leader at Scott House for a very long time. And Kevin's been there for a long time now too.
Love Kevin. He does a great job.
Yeah, he does. Kevin does a phenomenal job. And you know, one of the things I loved about you is that you really, really cultivated that and that's a really
we
that's
had an
beautiful.
alumni graduated and left McShin and came back
Yeah.
every night for like 2 weeks.
Oh my God! Is he,
or for 2 months. I'm sorry.
You guys are still friends,
Yeah,
yeah. And that's Do we have no Wi-Fi? Is that what that signal says up there? Are we on Wi-Fi?
No, we're not on Wi-Fi.
It's fairly good.
Okay.
It's we're hardwired in, but
Okay.
the internet here is so dependable and
Squirrel.
squirrel.
But that was really awesome the way you ran that. You would always talk about favorite movies and stuff, and you added questions and stuff, and we do a good job over there now. The previous house leader before Kevin or between Kevin, because Kevin had a little bit and then he left and went to some other house and then came back. But it wasn't always regular. I'd show up and I'm like, oh yeah, we're not doing it tonight, or we did it an hour ago. I'm like, well, but it's supposed to happen at this time, and I want to be here.
9 o'clock.
They do it at 8 now, but yeah, I mean it's regular, now, and so that's great, and I love going over there. It's one of my favorite things, and you really cultivated that experience and brought meaning to that, and I think that was one of the ways that you were really successful as a house leader there, and then moving on to
Very kind of
Clark House. No, I mean it's very kind of you, to be honest. I mean, really, it shows who you are in a way that I'm like, I want that guy around. We don't have to know what's going on in our lives all the time. We don't have to talk every day. But I'm like, that guy, I know that guy. Don't change, or don't change. I don't know. That's not
Don't
the right
change,
word.
just grow.
Just grow. There we go. Right. Be you, because I love you. And
Yeah,
that's
I love
cool.
you
And I
too,
get to
man.
see you. And I really love watching you grow and what you're doing, man. You really inspire me, and I know you inspire a lot of other people. So that's awesome. I'm glad you got to come on the show today. Yeah, to answer your question, we've done a lot of work and yada yada yada. Advocacy, yay. And I'm not making light of it, because I
Jeez.
absolutely love my job, and I love being able to in the I guess now almost 3 years I've been in this job. I've been able to
I feel like it's gotten harder
well
in the last 3 years.
I mean, well, here's the thing, right? Like as I've gotten more comfortable with who I am, right, and acceptance of myself as a person in recovery, it becomes less about going to people and trying to manipulate them in a way that is familiar from a using standpoint, and more of a, hey, you know what, this is who I am, this is what recovery can do, and oh, by the way, this is who this guy is right here, and this is what recovery can do for this person here, and this is what we're doing at McShin, and we want to help fix this problem. I mean, let's not minimize the fact that the addiction epidemic is just blown up, during the COVID pandemic, and with that, all the other issues that come along with that. And so, one of the things, with, I tend to vote one party, but I've voted purple I mean, I've always voted purple technically. I mean, I've never voted one party all the time. And, with the election changing a lot here in Virginia, the brand new administration coming in, it's like, well, all right, how do we refocus and rethink about how we're going to approach people? And I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I am best when I'm my authentic self. Like, I'm not going to try and manipulate just to fit some mold. And yeah, I'm going to think about, okay, what's going to appeal to this person or that person, but I am best when I am my authentic self. And if you don't like it, well, I mean, that's fine. But let me show you, here's these other people here in recovery who are doing great stuff. And so, I was quick to reach out to the lieutenant governor elect, the attorney general elect, who I've met and talked to both of them. And I haven't reached out to the governor elect. I don't really know. I haven't met him yet. But I reached out to both of them and congratulated them and say, how can we continue to work, going forward? The lieutenant governor elect, when she was running, she was here for the Overdose Awareness Day. I think that might be the last time I saw you. Maybe in August. And I've sat down and talked to Jason Miraz too, the attorney general elect. So, it's like, okay, I don't need to bring anybody other than myself and into the situation. And what I mean is that I don't need to change who I am to go into the situation. And I will bring other people around, absolutely. But it's the goal for me, when I first started, I think might have been way more manipulative in my mind, whereas now it's like, no. Let's show you what's going on here. Come on down. And I love that. I mean, I learned that from Carol, and I learned that from John.
Totally.
And yeah, there are things you do. I mean, you got to do certain things. I wish people happy birthday and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, Yay, you're 43. But at the same time, it's like, people are people and they want solutions,
Sure.
and we have this incredible solution right here. And we're part of a network of incredible solutions right here
Which
in
was
Virginia.
recently like recognized.
Yeah, I mean, the
for-
big
for-
giant
for
$10 million
Yeah.
piece that, went through the ARPA funding that now, okay, great. Now let's see what we do with that and continue to advocate for that, because this is a one-time hit as it is, so if we want to continue to have that, we got to demonstrate the value of what we do with that money. So it's a big hit. And I think VAR and Anthony and David and all the members of VAR, I think, really have an incredible handle on the work and know what it is. And it's because of this authentic peer knowledge. It's like my experience, your experience, David's experience, Anthony's experience, Bob's experience, all these people who have these incredible, boots on the ground because they were in the ground. They have the boots on because they put the boots on from being in the dirt. And I think that we have a really, really big chance to continue to do incredible work here in Virginia with that. And so it's exciting. It is exciting. And I get lost in barrier crimes, and I get lost in the little not, they're not little things, but I get lost sometimes in the things that, frustrating about this or that. But when it comes to the big ideas and the scheme of, how we're going forward, it's like, recovery really is a purple issue, and I think a lot more people are noticing that, from both sides of the aisles are saying, you know what, we're not doing this right. We're not helping people, and probably we're hurting people more. And so that's the beautiful thing. We just keep showing what we do.
I looked up at everyone's platforms literally the day of the election and literally looked at the like drug section.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The drug, healthcare, and crime sections of each person's platforms. And that's how I voted.
Yeah.
I'll be full cards on the table and say like that I'm like I was kind of explaining to Kelly, like I'm like a one party, I'm like a one issue guy pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's just plenty of stuff that doesn't affect me as much as what that does in my opinion. So that's all I really need to look at a lot of times is what are you going to do for the recovery community? What are you going to do for, I don't know. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to Skylar.
Shout out to Skylar. Is he your delegate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kelly's history teacher in
Oh
school.
no, I think I knew that. Yeah. Shout out to Skylar. I think I talked to him three times on election day. Actually,
that's cool.
First in the morning, good luck. Second time, I was like,
because we talked to him at that McShin like 27-year anniversary or something. It was the
17.
17.
Yeah.
That's what it was at
at John's house. That's right. You were there.
Yeah, and he was there, and he was a really, really good guy. So
he is a good guy, and
seeing someone at a recovery event is a game changer for me, man. Like it's like honestly though, it's like you can talk about it, but be about it sometimes.
But let's talk party, right? I mean, let's talk recovery, right? And people in recovery, like let's shout out to Jimmy Brook, man. Jimmy Brook, he's Republican.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's a former board member of the McShin Foundation. He's got long-term recovery, and he's like, I'm gonna fight for the recovery community, and I'm gonna and other issues that he fights for, but like, I'm going to run for office, and I'm going to do it in a way that makes me very vulnerable.
Yeah.
I also happen to know his opponent, the incumbent who just won, Lamont. So like, I know he's not going to attack him on recovery stuff, which is awesome too, right? Like he's not going to do that, because Lamont knows the recovery community too, which is a beautiful thing. And so, if more people are free to be out in their recovery and to come out and say, you know what, I'm a person in recovery and I vote, and not only do I vote, but now I'm running for office. We have 2 cabinet level secretaries right now in recovery. And we're hoping to get one down here on the 22nd. By the way, we got to get your shout outs in there, but because we're doing a movie viewing. If you haven't seen it yet, the event thing that I sent out, November 22nd, right? Yeah, November 22nd, because it's the day Kennedy was assassinated in '63. That's how my mind works, by the way. But it's Monday, November 22nd. It's a viewing of Greg Williams' movie. Greg Williams and the people who made the movie, the Anonymous people.
Yeah.
They have created a new movie called Tipping the Pain Scale, and it's all about. Well, it's all redemption and recovery stories, man. It's actually a beautiful movie. We got a preview of the movie. We got to see it when we were in Vegas in September. So, it's really hard hitting, and it follows the lives of, I think, 6 people. And one of those being the now labor secretary, in the Biden administration, Marty Walsh, he's been person in recovery for a long time. And he was the mayor of Boston. And he's all Boston. I love him. I got to meet him. He's really cool. And we bitched about something that, anyway, I got to talk to him, and then follows, there's a guy named Joseph Green. I really want you to meet Joseph Green. He's going to be on the show. You don't know this yet, but he's going to be on the show Monday, then the 22nd. We're doing a show, and Joseph Green is going to be on the show.
You should see Justin's face
I know.
right now.
Cool.
McShin. But you'll love him. He's a spoken word artist. He's up in Northern Virginia, up in Springfield.
Oh,
he is incredible. I'm excited to have him here. I mean, I got to see him live. I got to see him live on the stage with Macklemore.
Meet Joe Green.
Meet Joe Green. Is that a movie?
Mean Joe Green.
Oh, Mean Joe Green. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'll tell you more. Yeah, so keep it at the Henrico Theater. 5:30 is the reception. I don't know what time the movie. It's free. So
pencil me in.
You and Kelly. Yeah. I'll send you a link. You got to do the thing on Eventbrite so I can have a name. But because we have limited numbers. But yeah, do it. It'll be powerful. We get some of the people in the movie on there to talk about their experience, and it's all people in recovery, and they're all doing some really neat things in different fields entirely. So I love those stories. I love those stories, and so often, I mean, it's the recovery community who is so empowered and to go and tell these recovery stories. Because so often, and I talk to reporters fairly often, and when I talk to reporters, it's like, all right, tell me all the bad shit. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't you write a story about what recovery is? What does it mean to be in recovery? Let's talk about the dad who got custody of his kids back. Let's talk about the mom who just got her driver's license back and opened up a business. Let's talk about these stories.
Yeah.
And that's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that shit. Anyway, boy, are we at an hour and 12 minutes? Man, I want you back.
My microphone was still muted, so.
Oh, it still is? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'm down.
Yeah. Come on back.
This is always a blast.
Any last words?
Feels so comfortable. I really appreciate you having me on. I think y'all are doing a great job. I really appreciate it. And all your hard work in the advocacy realm.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Yeah, watch Corn Warriors.
Corn Warriors!
I'm watching that shit tonight.
Corn Warriors. It'll be on YouTube and Facebook at 9 p.m. You can follow us at Corn Warriors TV on Twitter, Corn Warriors on Instagram, Corn Warriors on Facebook, and Podfather TV on Twitter.
Now, are you
Podfather TV on Instagram?
Are you credited in the
the Podfather TV on Facebook? Yes, I am. I am an associate producer.
Sweet.
I'm actually in some of the episodes.
Are you?
It's nothing it's just me on camera. I don't even have lines.
Yeah.
I had one line in an episode, but they're not like lines, it was like, producer Corey, what happened? And that was me saying that. So it's like, I'm a behind the scenes guy.
So what you're saying is you're a minor celebrity.
Minor. I'm on the Z list.
But that makes you like a demigod.
Like a demigod.
What demigod? Oh,
no, I'm a behind the scenes creator. I kind of like it that way. I like being on camera and doing stuff like this, obviously, but I just I
always forget.
know.
I do forget. I
really love what I do. It's cool.
Good for you, man.
I love what y'all do.
I'm so excited. I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to have you back here, and thanks for showing up. I will definitely check out the show, both of them, and I definitely want a Podfather shirt. You got to figure out. I got to figure out how to get one of those.
Did you type this olive green? Was my idea.
It's good. It's a very good, and I have this vision of Braveheart, the movie Braveheart, Mel Gibson and the paint and everything.
William Wallace.
Yeah, and instead of whatever things they used as weapons, I just have them with corn in their hands. Yeah, because that's what Corn Warriors looks like in Nathan's mind. So. For whatever reason, it's Mel
Definitely
Gibson
less
in drag.
Bloody. Definitely less bloody, but aside from that, it's like the exact same.
All right, man. Alex Bond, man, our amazing guest. Thank you so much for coming back and sharing your journey with us today. As always, Justice Bognar over there.
Yeah, buddy.
Big shout out to Justice.
Justin Bognar. Is it Bognar?
It's Bognar.
Bognar. I knew that.
I've known him 3.5 years.
Jeez, bruh.
Almost 4 years.
He doesn't even remember my first name. a lot of
Nathan
days.
Michel.
But this is of course.
Nat Han.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not my sister. That doesn't work.
Wah, wah.
I love
Thank you for
throwbacks.
having me, man.
I love throwbacks to yesterday's jokes.
Business.
Hostile takeover. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this today. We will see you on Tuesday next week. We will not be doing a show on Wednesday, so we will figure something. I don't know. Maybe you'll just have to sit there in the dark with I don't know. Maybe
Diversifying your portfolio.
Oh God, that sounds miserable. But anyway, if you diversify your portfolio and you can find an easy way to do that, please drop a note in the comments. And anyway, we'll see you next week for Tuesday's next episode of Get in the Herd. Boom, boom, boom. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, 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 pew.